We are very proud to have Kumar Sangakkara here as the great cricketer he is. And also as the ambassador of CCC Foundation, CCC Line. Kumar, welcome and thanks. You know, I know you're very busy. At the moment, you're taking it a little bit easy. On that note, your tour was cut short because of the finger injury. How's it going? How are you recovering?
Yeah, it's getting better, slowly but surely. I had surgery the same day that it broke. Dr. Greg and Dr. David Young, two surgeons who always take care of our sporting injuries. They took me in around 8:30 at night. The surgery was done. I woke the next morning. I had my sutures out a couple of days ago, I had my sutures out a couple of days ago, and now it's just a case of getting my ligaments to work and getting movement back. It's still a bit sore, but it's got a plate, a screw, and a few screws and a pinion, so it takes the time.
Okay, well it's good to see you here anyway. Look, on a positive note, congratulations on a fantastic milestone of 10,000 test runs. How about that? And what a way to get it on Melbourne's Boxing Day test match. So now, Kumar, you join greats such as Sachin Tendulkar and also Brian Lara, who's one of your favorite cricketers, for one of the fastest 10,000 runs. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think unfortunately the Boxing Day test match is not going to be remembered for my 10,000 runs. But having said that, you know, it was great to get 10,000 runs. That was one of the goals I had when I started playing Test cricket. You score 10,000 runs, and then you're in a you maybe I'm not in the same league as Lara or Sachin or Kallis, I believe, but at least you're in a group that has done something special. You're right, Brian Lara is my, it used to be Big Richards, but I think when Lara came along, he's my all-time favorite batsman. And also Ricky Ponting. I think those two guys have revolutionized batting, especially in Test cricket. So yeah, 10,000 runs made me very happy, but at the same time, if I could have scored my 10,000 runs and taken the team to maybe 300, 350 runs on that first innings, I think that would have been a bit more important than actually just reaching the milestone. But it was not to be. Also, 10,000 runs I had in Sri Lanka, and I was playing New Zealand. I had 5 innings to score 120 runs and become the fastest to do it. But I'm pretty happy that I tied two greats like and Sachin.
Honestly, that's a fantastic achievement. Yeah, exactly. Now, on the subject of Boxing Day, you can't get away that easy. Look, it's been diplomatically described as a meek surrender by one commentator. What do you feel most greatly impacted the result? And also, for the team, how are they going to regroup to be competitive for the one days?
Well, I think they regrouped pretty well. I watched the match in Sydney, and we had a couple of the younger players coming in, Perimana and Chandimal. We had a couple of new bowlers who were just back from injury, being flown in. And I thought they were very competitive. I reckon 100 more runs in Sydney might have actually had a result in our favour. But I think the Melbourne Test match, the case in point, Sri Lanka throughout the years, the way we play our cricket, we have disastrous games once in a while. Not all the time, but once in a while. We make history by creating world records, both good and sometimes bad. But the Boxing Day Test match and the one before in Hobart, we showed a lot of fight. But I think when we came to Australia, one of the things we discussed was, we wanted to win a Test match. We wanted to win. We never won before. We only won a one-day series in Australia in 2010. Because our ambition to do something that we haven't done before. But I think one of the things we probably failed to realize as a team is if you want to come and win in Australia, you can't be afraid to actually lose a game. And I think in Hobart we had 390, maybe instead of trying to save it, we might have gone out there and tried to chase 390 in the 130 or 40 of us we were given. It was actually quite a sporting preparation. Of course, the wicket was never going to be conducive to easy run scoring. Melbourne, I think, we just didn't have a great plan with our batting. We always knew coming here with our bowling attack, we had to score a lot of runs, especially in our first innings, to be competitive. And we weren't good enough. I don't think anyone in our team will tell anyone anything other than the fact we weren't good enough in Hobart. We weren't good enough at all on Boxing Day and the 2 days that followed. And we were better, but still not good enough in Sydney. So it's lessons learned. And more to do to be really competitive and for the young guys to come back to Australia and actually beat them here.
Look, true and very honest feedback. Look, on a more somber note, 2012 saw the passing of Tony Greig. Now, I think everyone knows Tony Greig has a great affinity with Sri Lanka and Sri Lankan cricket. What's your thoughts about Tony Greig and his impact, especially on cricket in Sri Lanka?
I've known Tony almost since the day I started my international career. I think after the second game I played, I debuted as a one-day player, and the second game I played was against South Africa in Gaul. And after the game, I was interviewed by Tony Greig. That was my first interview, and I've always heard him on TV. And I think in 1995 he adopted Sri Lanka as his personal cause, as the underdog of world cricket, and he tipped us to do the unthinkable in 1996, which we did. And from then onwards, I think he took a great liking to the likes of Ramesh Kalvitan, Sanandra Surya, Arjun Aravinda De Silva, over the years, Murali, and right throughout, I think he once viewed us with a bit of, maybe a bit of distance between him and us, but I think 95 changed that, and he became one of the closest and greatest supporters of Sri Lankan cricket. And when he was diagnosed with lung cancer, it came as quite a shock, because I remember the last time I was in Australia, almost exactly, maybe a week or almost exactly to the day that he did pass away. He, myself, and another friend of mine were sitting in Perth in the hotel lobby, drinking a glass of wine and talking about cricket. So, I see him healthy and very much alive then, and I think it's a tragic thing for world cricket as a whole that such a great man has passed away. He played a great part in revolutionizing cricket with Kerry Packer during the World Series that started here in Australia, the precursor, the pre-runner to the IPL that we play now. And he's done an immense service to cricket, and I think he's going to be greatly missed.
He is going to be missed, and he's been, as you said, a great supporter as well. Look, Sri Lankan cricket has provided some very exciting moments to fans throughout the world. Apart from achieving your great milestone of 10,000 runs, I will read this. 2012 ICC Cricket of the Year and Test Player of the Year, 2012 Wisden Cricket of the Year, 2011 ICC ORD Player of the Year. You hold a consecutive 150 plus test hold and ranked amongst the top 3 for ODI dismals as a wicketkeeper. Could I say that you had a great 2012? How has 2012 been for you?
2012 has been good. I think I look back upon my career. I played almost 13 years at the international level, which is, I think I've been very lucky to have done so. I've seen a lot of better, more talented cricketers not have that opportunity. I've worked hard. In Sri Lanka, we produce a lot of talented cricketers. We churn them out. We don't have probably the structure to really support that talent and refine that into ability. But I looked at the teammates that I played with, and if I'm brutally honest, I was one of the lesser talented players. I switched to cricket when I was about 17. Cricket was never my first love. But when I did switch to it, I realized that if I wanted to get anywhere, it was just about working hard as much as I can in preparation, and that's something I still do today as much as I can. So hard work's paid off. A lot of good people like you sitting here have supported not just me but the team, and that's been a great privilege for the team, a great responsibility that I think the team has upheld very well. And 35 now, hopefully, if the selectors allow me a couple more years before they kick me out to pasture, I'd love to keep playing this wonderful sport.
I'm sure you'll be here for much longer. Look, Kumar, throughout your career, there must be one innings or one match or one dismissal that's your favorite. What would that be? That's a difficult question, I know.
Well, I think when it comes to wicket keeping, I remember the stumpings I've missed more than the ones I've taken. As a wicket keeper's curse, you always get noticed when you make a mistake. But I think probably there were a couple of innings that I thought was important in my career. My first tour was against South Africa in Sri Lanka, and they were one of the best teams. They're the best team now, but they were also one of the best teams then. And I was batting at number 5 in Test cricket in the first 2 Test matches, and I was given the opportunity to bat number 3 in the last Test match. I didn't score more than 23 runs as my highest score in any of the innings that I played. So I thought, maybe that's the end of my Test career. But Dab Watmore and Sanat Jayasuriya, who had just taken over the captaincy, kept faith in me and took me to South Africa and asked me to bat at number 3. Now, South Africa, batting at number 3, my 4th Test match, I looked at their lineup, a guy called Umfuneko Ngam. We used to call him chewing gum because it was easy to remember him that way. And he was bowling at 153 kilometers an hour, and he was swinging it. So we were watching this guy, and with Sean Pollock, of course, Lance Klusner playing, and Makai Tini, and Alan Donald was supposed to join them for his final Test match at the end. So I thought, okay, this is great. This is basically it's a make or break tour for me. We were given the flattest of all wickets in the first Test match. I don't know why they did that, but luckily for me, I managed to get the 70 on against that attack, and that gave me a lot of confidence. We were blown away in the second Test, but the third Test, that particular innings, in the second innings when I batted, was probably the innings that where I felt I can play at this level. I faced Jacques Kallis, Pollock, Donald, and Intini. And in the second innings, I had to open because Sanat had a bruised finger, and I went into open, and I was last man out, batting with the tail. I was gutted I didn't get my 100. I was out for 98. But that particular innings was when I thought, okay, I've done something I never thought I could do at this level against such a high quality attack. And that's the one that sticks in my mind, that probably kind of tipped the scales in my favor when it came to Test cricket.
Fantastic. Look, I mean, there's tough oppositions, there's tough competition, and it's getting tougher. But who is for you the most challenging and toughest competitor, and how do you mentally prepare yourself to face them?
Well, I think it has always been Australia. Not because I'm here in Australia and there are a lot of you in the audience, but it's always been the one thing until the last maybe 2 years or 3 years. South Africa, New Zealand, England never traveled well. They never traveled well. They came to the subcontinent. Maybe they won a game here and there, but more often than not, when South Africa came to the subcontinent, I remember after the 2003 World Cup, we just dropped them 5-0 in the one-day series, 1-0 in the tests. New Zealand came, and we never broke a sweat with sides like that. But Australia, every time they came, they had something when they walked onto the field, when they walked out as a team. They were a completely different challenge. They had a presence, they had a certain level of arrogance even at that time. When Hayden, Borney, Bunting, and Gilchrist, all of these guys were, and McGrath. it was as if they walked on the field and said, listen guys, we're not going to lose this one to you. And you felt that presence. We always, when we battled with the Aussies, we always knew that nothing was going to be easy. And I think they've really proved that year in, year out in international cricket. So the Australians, I think when you beat them, especially in Australia, that's where it really matters. And I think that's what everyone's chasing in Sri Lanka.
That's why we come there and support you at the MCG and the Sydney. Yeah. Look, you previously mentioned that you have to work really hard to, as you said, you have a little bit of talent, but I think your application. But how do you keep focus of your game while juggling a family, all your charitable, organizations, and also running a restaurant?
Yeah, the restaurant. Yeah, I don't really run it. Which is probably why it hasn't closed yet. But I think it's one basic thing. It's cricket that's allowed me to do all of that. The lifestyle I enjoy, what I do with my charity, how well I can support my family, from running a restaurant to everything. I think cricket has given me a lot. Maybe if I did another job, maybe I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much, maybe I wouldn't have had the same privileges. So that's my bread and butter. So if I can't lose focus on the one thing that gives me a lot of pleasure, that gives 20 million plus people in Sri Lanka and outside Sri Lanka a huge amount of pleasure. And they've entrusted us with going out onto the field and trying to put on a spectacle that makes them proud. So I don't think you can lose focus.
Look, as well as your impact on the field, and we discussed that, you made a very necessary statement and hence a huge impact when you delivered the 2011 MCCC Spirit of Calgary lecture. Your outspokenness about cricket board politics brought worldwide attention to corruption. Now, what prompted you to speak about that, and has there been any improvement on that side?
Well, once in troubles, now again. But
take your time in answering this.
No, I think it's strange. A lot of people remember that particular speech for various reasons. Some remember it as a description of Sri Lanka, as a description of Sri Lankan society, as a description of cricket and what it means to us as Sri Lankans, and also something that we all related to people, well, my age or slightly younger, or even older, much older, growing up in an era where cricket defined a lot of things, and times in Sri Lanka were not so pleasant and not so calm. In between that, there were 4 lines or 4 to 10 lines of talking about the cricket board. And I probably didn't say anything that no one's really realized before or not spoken about before, but it's probably the first time that someone said it out loud. It was the way things were. And I think as administrators, as players, I think we have a great responsibility towards the game, towards the fans that make it possible for us to be where we are. And I think changes have been made, and they have been made slowly, but I think that the real key is to have a very open, clear dialogue and responsibility and accountability. And I think that's slowly coming back into the board. There's so many good people around Sri Lanka who want to contribute. And sooner rather than later, I believe that with all the good that's happening in Sri Lanka, with the development, with the moving forward, with the post-conflict era development drive that we are having, I believe cricket is also going to be an important part that will be developed. So I always have hope, I always have faith in people and the fact that they can do a lot of good, and I believe that they will do that in Sri Lanka as well.
Kumar, you've always believed that cricketers should live a positive life and lifestyle, and also give back. And you are a good example of that. You're into many charities, including CCC Foundation, and recently you visited CCC House.
Yeah, I went there, I didn't know what to expect when I went to CCC House. I've been to the Maharagama Cancer Hospital before, to the children's ward, with an acquaintance of mine whose daughter was diagnosed with leukemia. And the first time I went there, it really shocks you. You have these beautiful children. Some are on beds, some are under beds, some are on mats, some are having temporary mats on staircases and stairwells in the hospital. They just don't have the room and they don't have the facilities to cope. And these children have to come with a parent or a guardian for treatment, and some of them come from really rural areas, from far away. And when I went to CCC House, I was just taken aback because I was so impressed. The facilities there were just amazing. The cleanliness, the thought that had gone into the facilities that were provided, the facilities that the children and the parents had access to, not just a clean bed, not just clean toilets, but a play area, entertainment, books, the ability to watch TV, so that psychologically they're so much more relaxed and so much more positive when going into treatment. And I spoke to the staff. I went to the adult ward upstairs. I spoke to the ladies and gentlemen that were there, resting, eating lunch, as you saw on that. And I think if you ever go to Sri Lanka, you go on a holiday, just spend an hour, spend half an hour visiting, because no matter what I sit here and say, it will never have the same impact as seeing it firsthand. But you saw it on the screen, and if you can support that cause, and of course CCC Line, which is another project, I think you do charity for various reasons. Sometimes just to make yourself happy, or to talk about it, or just because you want to give something back. There are many reasons why we're involved in charity. It doesn't really matter, because if you do help, you make a huge difference in someone's life.
Once again, please put your hands for our cricketer, Kumar Sangakkara. Thank you. Thanks.